Griff McGarry is one of the top prospects in the Phillies farm system. He ranks as the third highest pitching prospect in the organization, only behind Andrew Painter and Mick Abel, who we have already discussed in past breakdowns. Before we begin the breakdown, like the video and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all things Philly sports. If you subscribe, drop a comment saying you did and I'll be sure to give you a reply. McGarry played 4 years in college for Virginia in the Atlantic Coast Conference before being drafted by the Phillies. Through his college career, he pitched to a 6-12 record with a 4.84 ERA in 134 innings. His K per 9 was solid, being a 12.5. His main problem in college was the amount of runners he allowed to reach base. He had a whip of 1.69 and a walks per 9 of 8.8. This was a stat he would work to get better with as he got older, but one that would keep giving him trouble as his career went on. Griff McGarry was drafted by the Phillies in the 5th round of the 2021 MLB Draft at 145th overall. Coming in at 6'2", 190 pounds, he isn't the biggest guy out there on the mound, but is solid enough to get the job done. During his first season in the lower levels of the minors, McGarry had a 2.96 ERA in 24 1/3 innings pitched. His whip was better than it was in college at 1.11. His K per 9 had remained strong, going up to 15.9, but his walks per 9 continued to give him trouble at 5.18. In his first year in the minors, he did not allow a single home run, which was a very good sign from the Phillies' young pitcher. 2022 was the year that Griff McGarry started to get a lot of attention. He pitched pretty well in high A ball, which allowed the Phillies to call him up to Reading and play in Double-A. For the Reading Fightin' Phils in 2022, McGarry was 1-3 with a 2.20 ERA in almost 33 innings. With a whip of 1.01, his K per 9 was down to 10.74 and his walks per 9 went up to 5.51. Because of how well he pitched in Double-A, the Phillies called him up to Triple-A towards the end of the 2022 season. In Triple-A, McGarry pitched only 8 innings, going 0-2 with a 9 ERA. These weren't great numbers, but it was nothing but a small sample size. After coming back from injury in 2023, McGarry came back to Double-A and started finding his groove again. Right now, he has an ERA of 3.86 in 24 1/3 innings pitched. His whip is not great at 1.41, which continues to be a question mark in McGarry's game. His walks per 9 has gotten up to 6.56, nowhere near where he wants it to be. Limiting the home run has been the main focal point to Griff McGarry's game. After coming off 2022 with Reading with a .28 home runs per 9, he has a .77 home runs per 9 so far in 2023. This is a good sign for him going forward in his career because when you can limit the home run, the rest of the pieces start to fall in place. Now that we have talked about McGarry's minor league career, we have to talk about how he is going to impact the Phillies or if he will even impact them at all. McGarry is probably the closest top prospect not named Andrew Painter to the big leagues in the Phillies farm system. The Phillies could always use some pitching, so adding McGarry would be a big help. He would most likely slot into a bullpen piece similar to what Bailey Falter was near the end of last season, a long relief pitcher that can make an emergency start if you need him to. I see Griff McGarry coming into the Phillies' plans if they make the playoffs. They can use him as a pitcher nobody has seen yet in the playoffs, which would work to their advantage. Limiting the big home run is also key in the playoffs, and that is something McGarry excels at. The other argument to Griff McGarry is that the Phillies will use him as a trade piece at the trade deadline. I will make a video before the deadline on possible deals the Phillies could make, but for now let's talk about how McGarry could possibly be traded. The Phillies are in need of a 5th starter at the deadline. It is unclear if they will go after one or if they will stick with Christopher Sanchez for the remainder of the year. Shipping McGarry out could get the Phillies another starter, which they desperately need. Another need for the Phillies is the first base position. With Rhys Hoskins injured, the Phillies have turned to Cody Clemens as the starting first baseman. Clemens has not been great this year and is not a guy you want to be in the starting lineup for a playoff game. The Phillies have been connected to Paul Goldschmidt as the Cardinals are likely to deal him. If the Phillies want to get him without giving up Andrew Painter, McGarry almost certainly has to be in the deal. I'm not going to go into too much depth with the trade scenarios as that is a video for another day, but to keep it simple, McGarry might be traded at the deadline. Griff McGarry could be a viable asset for the future, no matter what team he is on. He can limit the home run and can strike out a ton of hitters, which is always good in the MLB. His ability to allow too many runners on base is concerning and something he will have to work on if he wants to be a top-end starting pitcher. Overall, I think he could become a great pitcher at the MLB level, and if he pitches well for the Phillies, it would be a steal. That is going to do it for this top prospect breakdown on Griff McGarry. Make sure to like the video and subscribe so I know you guys enjoy these types of videos. Leave a comment if you did subscribe so I can reply back and thank you for the support. Also comment what other prospects you want to see going forward, as well as what other types of videos you want to see on the channel. That is all I have for now, and I will see you guys in the next video.